Howdy, everyone, and welcome to Wild Weiss, the community podcast for Calgary Weiss Schwarz. I'm today's host, Tim Jancy. Today, we've got one of the Weiss community's best bloggers on the show to pick her brain about how to write good and stuff. Great intro. Author of Weiss Tea Time, collaborator with the best ever Weiss Schwarz review show, host of Set Spoilers and Their Translation. The list goes on, but I'll have to stop it here. Welcome, Teya Gerry, to Wild Weiss. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. It's super nice to be on here. Glad you're having me.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of the interviews I've been looking forward to for a while, just given the insane amount of great stuff that you've been writing, hosting, doing about Weiss Schwarz for the past, God, is it 5 years now?
Yeah, it's like 5 years and a half at this point. Time really does fly.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, so how have things been on your end?
Pretty great. Started a new job recently. It's now trying to work out, because it's a whole different time schedule as opposed to being in university. So how does content fit into that now? It's new. It's fresh. It's interesting.
It's funny because it's I remember when I left university and grad school anyway, and started my current job about five and a half years ago. I suddenly had all this time for Weiss Schwarz, so it's like once that adjustment period is over, depending on the job, yeah, you might actually have more time than you did in university.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that'll be the case. I think it's the opposite because my university was really easy for me. But again, I still have to kind of figure out everything at the new job. So, yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Oh, I'm hoping to see more Weiss Tea Time stuff come up.
I'm gonna try to deliver.
Good. All right, let's get right on to the questions then. Given this is a Weiss Schwarz podcast, I think naturally we should ask, how do you initially get into Weiss Schwarz? What hooked you in?
I think it all started with like a couple of my friends picking up trial decks at some random convention. Like this was, I think, 2015. I think, not sure, but like they were like old things, like fairy tale trial decks in that sense. And they tried to get me into it because like, we had like no one to play with. And I'm generally not interested in board games or anything of the like. Like I have a passionate dislike for these things.
Really?
And so, yeah, it's really unusual. And people always, every single time I tell this to people, they're like, oh, but how about this? No, just don't. I never, nothing. But like card games in general aren't really like board games. But since I was so averse, like, and still am to like that whole thing, as soon as I saw anything remotely resembling a board game, I was like 180 running the other way.
Right.
But then there was a Madoka trial deck in Weiss, right?
Right.
So that's how they got me. And then there was the other fact that like the play style of Madoka, just with like the first two sets, Original and Rebellion, was something that I ended up really liking. So yeah, that was it.
It's really funny because like Madoka is my second set. So, and I think that's the one that I put more into because like my first deck was my friends got me a Macross Frontier trial deck back in 2012. But yeah, Madoka is the first one I really kind of bought into because it was English and I could read the cards. And I'm with you there. The first Madoka set was really fun.
Yeah, especially Sayaka's Wish. I'm never gonna forget that. Like, It was so much fun, especially because at the time our local meta was like just starting to go into that anti-heal Kantai era ish.
Yeah.
And I just didn't give a shit. Sayaka's Wish, heal to hand.
Isn't that the best feeling? Like someone just thinks they're so smart to throw it down their anti-heal and you're just like, get dunked, nerd. And you drop Sayaka's Wish and the card comes to hand and they're just like, my anti-heal. And you're like, goes to hand, not to waiting room. But deep.
Yes.
Oh, that's so good. But yeah, from that beginning of just picking up your first Madoka trial deck, how did that grow?
I don't quite actually remember. Like I have like really, really vague memories of like looking up what actually this game was, finding some random content. Then I found the subreddit, which at that point was like pretty barren for the most part, but like Reddit is probably one of my preferred ways of communication. So I ended up posting a bunch of questions there.
Mm.
And I don't remember who was it that sent me the usual standard apples build, but I saved that comment like a holy item, and I just had it like saved somewhere. I kept coming back. Okay, I need this, I need this, I need this, because the level 3 Sayakas were a pain in the ass to find.
Oh
That
yeah.
was a project. That was I had like alerts set up on every possible website I could find, and then when one was in stock, that was the kind of item where I would just like add to cart. I don't see the price. I don't see the shipping. Just get it here.
Yeah, yeah. Just slam the buy now.
Yeah, yeah. Because I had to make this Madoka deck, and yeah, I don't actually remember what came after that. It just evolved naturally. I stopped paying as much attention.
Gotcha, gotcha. Given that the icon for Weiss Tea Time, the blog that we'll be talking about real shortly here, is Kurisu from Steins Gate. Did you end up buying into Steins Gate?
Oh yeah, I did, and Steins Gate also plays a big part, kind of, in what Weiss Tea Time is now. But like I'll get more into that later. I did buy into Steins Gate. I wish we'd get like more support for it because there's like a lot of gimmicky stuff there, a lot of good stuff actually, but just like the middle part doesn't quite come together.
Yeah, it's really funny because like me and my buds were hanging out last night and we were just talking about a lot of sets that it'd be so cool if they got support so you could actually do some deck building, you know? And I think Steins
Yeah.
Gate's definitely one of them.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Like there is so much, like forget the meta. There is so much potential for jank in there because we have the you have the Suzuka cycling combo, right?
Yeah.
I cannot explain the amount of joy that these kind of things bring me when I'm playing. Like I'm pretty sure I still have a picture of somewhere where I compressed to basically I think it was 7 climaxes in 10 cards, and then I still lost the game somehow because I was just so hyper focused on that idea. How can I get even better compression? Because I'm already here. Like I can't stop now. I'm in a winning position, but I don't care for winning. I care about how I can make this situation even more absurd.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got to do it for the memes, right?
Yeah, yeah. So like, print me a Steins Gate Zero set. Print me more meme material, please, Bushiro. I'm asking.
Roblox Notes 2, Neo Standard with Steins Gate. Let's go.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Actually, if they made a Nitro Plus Bunko, would you just go right in on that?
I would probably, because that would then also get me to like actually go through all the other visual novels, because I have like vague synopsis in my head, but like I haven't actually gotten into the rest of the media. Just haven't had time.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. Um, yeah, because I remember with like the Fujimi Bunko set, like I like High School DxD and Full Metal Panic, but I'd never actually given a Seto Ichi's own. It's fair shot, student council's discretion, and it's really fun. So it's like that's one of the really great things about those Bunko sets.
Yeah, I mean, they should definitely make one. I mean, as long as it has like three Steins Gate Zero cards in it, I'm taking it.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. We kind of alluded to this just kind of in our chat about sets there. Why did you decide to get started on Weiss Tea Time?
Besides the fact that I really, really like writing and just talking in general, I think like back then, I think that was like late 2015. I was
Mm,
already making some content for this random website. I can't even remember the name, but like basically they were like a shop that sold Vice, and they just needed someone to like populate their blog a bit, for the search
right.
engines, if nothing else. So I was doing that, nothing notable, nothing of any value whatsoever. But I had fun, and then they eventually stopped carrying Voice. And so I thought, I kind of want to keep this going, and off to WordPress I went.
Right. And it's kind of funny that it's just that spur of the moment. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of because I don't usually make decisions or do things that way. But for some important things, apparently I do, including this one.
Yeah. I have to say, I've been a big fan of what you've done for a very long time. I'm not sure if I said this in the start of the interview. This was kind of on my interview wish list because the content on Weiss Tea Time is really, really varied, and I'm just going to try and touch on much of it as I can throughout the interview. Let's start with the spoilers hub because I think that's probably one of the first touchstones for a lot of people on Weiss Tea Time. How do you end up hosting that?
That is a long story.
Oh, I'm
And
here.
the only reason the community has this, right, is for two reasons. Is because I can't plan ahead, and because I respect other people's personal space. Because this actually started with Steins Gate back in I think 2018, like November-ish. That was
Yeah,
when I started hosting this. But the actual project itself kind of started with earlier in the summer with Magia Record.
right.
I think it was like May/June when that set started getting spoilers, and that was the first time I started actually caring about a Japanese set coming out.
Mm,
Because like it was Madoka, it was like region locked, so I had to care like by default.
mm,
And I knew that like Randall posted spoilers translations every day in the Facebook groups, but I didn't exactly have like a timeline in my head of when the spoilers would start.
right.
So I remember one morning sitting in this like my small college room that I shared with another roommate,
Yeah,
and I was in the morning getting ready, just opened my laptop to check stuff online, and I see, oh, Magia Record spoilers. What? That starts today. And because I had this vague plan, oh, I'm gonna make some documents to put all of this in so I can keep track. But
right.
then it like surprised me out of nowhere. So I just grabbed the nearest post-it note I could find. I just scribbled on it, oh, is this one, it's a level 0, Iroha, she does this and this. Okay. I'm gonna like put this in a spreadsheet when I get home.
Right.
And then I didn't. And so next day, the same thing. And then, okay, I'm gonna do it over the weekend. And then I didn't. And then I realized, oh, I have this stack of rainbow post-it notes. I can just color code them. Yeah, you're see where this is going. Like in a couple of days, I had like my giant desk was full. Then it went on to like the wall above my desk. Then it went on to like the shelves above my desk. And like by like the end of the spoilers, when it was summer already, and like my roommate was moving out for like our summer break, I had every single part of my room just covered in like post-it notes with like vague shorthand translations for every single Madoka card. It was at the point where I would actually start doing deck building on the
On
doors
your
of my
post-it
closet
notes.
because because I had everything there. It was like that meme. I don't know where it's from, but it's like that guy with like a board and a bunch of red
Yeah,
lines
yeah.
everywhere. That was me. That was me.
Well, your roommate must have thought you were raving mad too, right?
Yeah, I think she was already, because that was at the end of the year. She was already kind of desensitized to the fact that okay, sometimes Teya just does weird things. I think like she was used to that.
Yeah.
And so okay, this was like it ended. I put the post-it notes away, but then Steins Gate got announced, and
Mm,
then Steins Gate spoilers started in September, which was like I think September or October, just basically at the start of the new university year. And I got a new roommate who wasn't used to like all my quirks yet. And
oh,
so I was thinking, okay, we can't do this again because this poor girl just moved into this room. And if I now in 3 weeks have it covered in post it notes, she's going to think I'm trying to kill someone. She's going to freak out.
mm.
She's going to move out, and then I'm without a roommate. We can't have that. So I actually prepared that one time. I prepared a sheet in advance. And when the spoilers started rolling, I was ready. And at that point, I was like, huh, well, I already have a website. And I have this thing that like probably someone else could use. I wonder if I can embed a Google Sheet onto WordPress. And it turns out I can. So yeah, ever since then, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, and it's very handy. I remember when Plat and I were building Adventure Time for the first time, we made, well, prepping up before the cards even came in, we made heavy use of those spreadsheets. So thank you very much for hosting that. It definitely helped me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We've kind of heard about the chaos of the post-it notes, but can you describe the current process? Is it simple copy paste work, or do you have a bot that does a good chunk of the work?
It's neither. Like it's all manual. I don't have a bot. Um, Partially because I'm not that good enough to make one for this, and partially because like I think there's like a place for automating things. But that's like in cases where most things are standardized.
Mm.
And at a glance, this seems like the perfect thing to automate. But when you get into it, it's like really, really not. Because like I like things being well done. I like things being that I can adjust everything because the sheets evolved, We had like added spaces, added bold, added color, added rarities, all that.
Yeah.
And every few sets something changes. Either a different person is doing the translations, or they start translating in a slightly different way, or they use a different punctuation mark somewhere, or Bushido
Right.
changes something, or the number of cards in a set changes, or the rarity changes. And so because everything is just so flexible, because everything changes all the time, it's just me doing all the work and putting things in, so that I can like go back, make all these references. Because I think that's also people also appreciate that, the fact that they don't have to look up what's this 3-2 card from like 3 sets ago. They just have it linked, or at least with the number, like for Symphogear, for example, which was all over the place. So yeah, but I do have to say that it's like I don't know if I would call it a bot, but I do kind of make it easier for myself. Like when I started doing this, I realized that like either I have some strangely small hands or just it's my specific laptop's keyboard. But if I have to constantly reach down to press control, it's kind of annoying. So I
Yeah.
started trying to figure out, okay, how do I not do that? And I found a way to like really easily rebind my keys. So like
Oh, okay.
I moved stuff around, and it's like it's so frustrating for not for me, but for other people, because literally everyone using my laptop has to deal with this. Everyone who like needs me to do something on another computer has to deal with me constantly pressing the wrong keys. And there was even this one time when I took my laptop to have something fixed, not related to the keyboard in any way, and
Yeah.
I got it back with like a note. The client needs to reinstall Windows because there are some major issues with the keyboard. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot to turn the spreadsheet tools off.
Pray tell, what did you remap control to?
Basically, I remapped Control to Shift, Shift to Caps Lock to Right Shift, and then for just since I was already there, I remapped Escape to the original Control. So it's essentially just lifted one key up.
I hate it.
Yeah, I know everyone does. And like I'm already bad with like those clickety mechanical keyboards that we
Yeah.
have in all our offices and like in university. So now when I'm on one of these, I'm not just bad. I look like a toddler who's never seen a keyboard before because I can't type. I keep pressing the wrong keys all the damn time. And then people see me on like a computer that I actually own. And then it's like, what are you doing? How are you this fast? This is my system. I know this system, okay? And it's literally just for the spoilers.
Yeah. Just for the spoilers, you've gone and completely ruined your ability to work on a public computer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even I've gotten a work laptop, and I don't know if I was allowed to do this, but the keys are screwed up on that one as well.
Gotcha. The question now is, was it worth it?
I think it was like I have like a really easy time working on this. It's a quirky story to tell, if nothing else. And I did recently also go one step further because I was tired of constantly having to type the image formula in the spreadsheets because you can't just I mean you can just paste an image in there, but it's gonna be a nightmare to do anything with it.
Yeah.
There's a formula where you give it a link and it then just displays the image, but it's tiresome to type this. And I was looking for
Mm.
like a clipboard tool that would just let me press something and type that so then I can copy the link after that. And I couldn't find anything that wasn't like obscurely or like expensive. But then I realized, there's this thing I heard about called auto hotkey that was just like essentially you can use it pretty much for anything, but it's like supposed to like rebind keys, do extra commands via the keyboard, and so on. And like I wanted to look into that for like a long time because it's the kind of thing that I would have a bunch of fun with,
Mm.
but I didn't have a reason to. And then I realized I can probably save all my issues with that. So I tried it and it worked. And then I was like, what if I also could just like copy the link to the image in one click? Okay, tried it, it works. And then like for just after that, it was just an avalanche. I have like so many things now all connected to like obscure key combinations, that if I'm working in something and like something happens to use like something in obscure like Control Shift G or something, I'm just
Yeah.
like, what? Why isn't this working? Oh, because I have it bound to this other thing. Again,
Mm.
all for the spoilers.
This is actually really surprising. So when I do spreadsheet stuff, I usually use Excel, right? And Excel has Visual
Mhm.
Basic. I'm
Yeah.
surprised that you couldn't just code up something yourself in like the Google. Does Google Sheets have the equivalent of VBA?
Yeah, I think it has some functions. I tried doing that, but for some reason like it would never respond properly. I don't know why. It has this version of like functions or whatnot, but like at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that like getting into auto hotkey was like easier and like more worth it in the long run. I mean, personally, just for myself.
Yeah. It seems to be Windows wide. If you ever get keybind things for an MMO or something, there you go.
Yeah, it's not even that, just like office work. Because like some office programs are like really picky with trying to paste unformatted text. Like they want you to click a bunch of no, I just have like a keybind for it that does it now. So
Yeah.
the things you learn because of Weiss, it's a really a life-changing game.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Given that you've got quite the stack of those translation spreadsheets and all the hotkeys to keep them going, do you have any plans to create an aggregated translation site a la Heart of the Cards or Little Akihabara?
I was thinking of doing like more with the spoilers eventually, but like what I had in mind was like mostly, I don't know, like do you play Magic by any chance?
Uh, no, I'm cheap.
Okay, well, I don't either, but like I know people who do, and they have like they seem to have a bunch of these sites where it's like spoilers, but like in an image grid type of thing where you click on, you can see like it's more visually intuitive, so you can see what's been revealed and so on. And I don't think necessarily the same format would work for Vice, but I tried to like think about how I could make this more visually intuitive, maybe like more fun to use without losing in the practicality of a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
So I kind of this is like on the back burner, you know. But if someone wants to do it, they're welcome. Like my Discord's public and open for DMs anytime because
yeah.
I don't think I'll get to it. I don't think I will.
Gotcha. And it's funny because that question came from Kilo, and I think he's pretty handy with computer stuff. So I'm gonna put him on blast. If you're asking these sort of questions and the opportunity's open, all's in your court.
Yeah, if we get permission from like everyone to like who's participated in translation so far. But at the same time, it's also kind of sad because I only have the sheets archived up until I think it was Bang Dream in 2020, like right that. Like before, I don't know what I was doing, but I just lost all the sheets from before that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is unfortunate. Yeah. Like I still get people sometimes asking for like the really really old sheets, and I'm like, sorry,
Sorry.
gone to the big black hole of not backed up data. My bad.
Gotcha. But real questions here. Do you still have the sticky notes?
Not necessarily. Like I use them for deck building. I was tempted to for Assault Lily, right? I was tempted. But again, roommate situation didn't want to freak people out. However, now I am in my own apartment. So the next, I think, wait, we have Assault Lily Volume 2 announced, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the post-it notes are still a very real possibility.
I'm gonna actually diverge here a bit. So I'm definitely a visual deck builder. I like to have the cards in front of me and just kind of look at what I'm doing when I'm building my ratios. Is that kind of the same thing where you're coming from with building with post-it notes?
Yeah. I'm always like the guy. I have to see it. I have to see everything. Like I can't work with something that's just inside a screen. I was never able to. Like doesn't matter what it is. Like even like I'm the kind of person who still in 2021 still takes like handwritten class notes for everything because I can't work with something that's inside a computer. Just my mind doesn't work that way. I have to like hold it in my
Mm.
hands. And so I will print like proxies, like not even like just like unused paper in black and white, just so I can like physically move this. Like, okay, maybe like three of this, two of that, different combo. just that's my way.
Yeah, because like I don't know how people could just sit there with Encore decks and be like, okay, this is 3 here, because it's like I don't know why it's very weird, because like I'm an economist, I work with freaking unnamed variables, and then here I am with like pictures of anime girls on a screen, and my brain's just like, nope, can't do it. You got to have your hands.
Yeah.
Keeping on the top of collecting things, back in 2019, you collected topping series used in the BCS Springs Fest 2019. How'd that come about, and how difficult was that?
I think it started with when we were like my friends and I, we were planning our teams for the Spring Fest, and we were trying to figure out, okay, so what's everyone gonna play, and in like what are the teams gonna look like? We had some predictions, we had some like base our decks kind of around that, and of course, me with the spreadsheets, I just like fired up a spreadsheet. I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna snoop around for a bit. And then it started happening that I would like get the data, but like it wouldn't be like complete. It would have like one set missing, or someone wouldn't know what the fourth place played, or like what else was in like top 8 and such.
Right.
And then I became annoyed because I like things done well. So suddenly I had this urge, no, wait, I have to complete this. It has to be completed. They can't have missing decks.
Right.
And at some point I figured, okay, so like if I kind of polish this into like a publishable thing, if I make it a post at the end, I think that gives me grounds enough to like bugger people about it. And that's really all I did. It wasn't like, I mean, it was as difficult as Bushiroad made it to be, because getting tournament data about their events was a journey, definitely. But probably I think it was harder than like it would have to be. I made it harder myself because at that time I still wasn't in any of the discords.
Right.
I don't know why. Like I think I wanted to join, but I forgot, and then I just never did until like later. And I think that information was like very present there. On Facebook I had to like try to like extract it from a couple people, but after a while, once people realized I was doing this, I would start getting messages from, oh yeah, I was here, by the way, this and that deck and that series, and I know someone who's going there today. Yeah, please just tell them. I just need as much information as possible. Which did
Right.
result in a couple like conflicting different stories, especially for like events that weren't in like North America, where maybe they have like less people there, so then there's automatically less people who are like also there and then also in the community to like give the information back. But I think we like in the end it like worked out well, and I'm like happy that we had that data, because it also enabled me to like kind of solve a problem that I had with the way Bushiroad displays winning decks, which is like they have them by year and then location and then person, right?
Oh Jesus.
Which is, I mean, it's good if you're interested in the event itself, but I don't think it's helpful to if someone comes in asking for for I don't know a Konosuba deck, to just tell them, yeah, go look at the official site, because finding that on the official site is going to give them so much clicking, because just it's a nightmare. But like since I already had like a table of every topping series, when Bushiroad put out the deck list, I would just hyperlink it to the post. So like it's all there, and it's just one page that someone can control F through for whatever series they want. And
Yeah.
I don't know why Bushiroad doesn't have that option, but it's okay. I fixed it.
Yeah. Well, that's the wonderful thing is you just saw a vacancy in the area of this Weiss resource, and you're just like, I can fix that. And it's funny
Yeah.
because like translate here's your spoiler hub. Oh, here's something we don't really have. I'm gonna fix that. It almost sounds like you're a bit of a fixer. Is that a fair thing to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, that is kind of my life story. Everyone who like knows me for a while is like, okay, so if shit hits the fan at the 11th hour, we still have Teya. She's gonna sort something out.
No, that's definitely a good reputation to have. So congrats to you on that. Although I guess it probably gets a bit tiring.
You kind of have to have boundaries. You kind of have to have a work email and like notifications that turn off after a certain time. Otherwise, it's fine.
Well, what sort of number crunching would you like to do with the data that you haven't already had a chance to do? Anything you've tried and shelved with that BCS data?
Well, what I wanted to do wasn't really shelved by me, but by like the state of the world. Because like my intention was like, I have like the whole template, everything set up now. Okay, I can just track this through year, and then we can do yearly comparisons. Like how much, like what conversion rate does like the biggest deck have, and so on. All that things that are like interesting to look
Yeah.
at throughout the years. Well, and then nothing happened in 2020. So like yeah, and we like until we get like comparable events again, there's
Yeah.
nothing really that I can do with that, because we had the Bushiroad Fest online, but it's not really a comparable format. I would have to like,
Right.
it would there couldn't be a comparison because it's not the same thing. Other than that, I like don't generally try to crunch numbers. Like I leave that's like a niche that I leave for other people, namely Ian. But if, as always, like if anyone wants something to do with something that I have on the side, just ask.
Yeah. Well, it's like there's always fun regressions to do with these sorts of things. Yeah, especially if you're thinking of looking at how does conversion rates evolve.
Yeah, but like again, we would need more data, and I was
Of
hoping I
course.
would have more data, and then nothing happened. But one day I have faith.
Well, the other thing that's a bit rough with Weiss is that you would have to wait multiple years to get the data to run a regression because we only get two major English events a year, Springfest and BCS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it needs a lot of time.
Hmm. And it's just like the iteroconomist is like, just give me something to run a regression on, darn it. The eternal struggle. Moving over to the opinion pieces, recently you wrote a piece that is both reflective and thought provoking about your journey as a Weiss blogger and what you see as the keys to success. First off, what sort of headspace were you in when you wrote that article?
Change, I guess. I think because a lot of things changed for me just in this year alone. I graduated, I got a new job, I was moving apartments like for for a long time because that was a process in and of itself. But just in general, like the site has been going on for 5 years, and I don't have that many things in my life that I can point at and say, yeah, this has been here. This has been here for 5 years. This has been here
Hmm.
for so long. So I was just thinking about, okay, but how does if it's a constant amidst every other thing that has changed, how did it change? Because it did change. It wasn't a constant. It was always there, but it wasn't always the same, obviously.
Hmm.
So that's what I was thinking about. Like, how did it get here? What is it even now?
Right. So it really kind of started out as this piece where you see this thing that's been part of your life for longer than a lot of other things that you can think of, and you're just trying to think, it's like, how did this grow? And it almost seems like it's how does it mirror your growth as a person and a Weiss player?
Yeah, in a way, like, or even just like the kind of thing where you feel it's important to like remember how it started, so you start to like look back on it before it's too late, so you forget.
I totally get that. And it's funny because you mentioned that you graduated university and the site's been going for about 5.5 years. So it's like, is it fair to say that the site predated your university education as well?
Yeah, yeah. I started this in my last year of high school, I think.
Right.
No, I think, yeah. Actually, it was like second to last, I think, because it started in 2016. So that was like right before I finished my second to last year of high school. That was, yeah, a long time.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's like those 5 years, like, yeah, so much changed, and it must be so weird to just kind of look back at that through you're writing about a topic that you're very keen on, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was a weird experience, particularly after learning that it wasn't as good as I thought it was. So like looking back was something I kind of tried to avoid until it came to like writing that whole anniversary piece. But I would like think about it in general, just like in very vague terms of how like, damn, this is still going. Like I think every year around April, when is the actual anniversary of the blog, like everyone in my friend circle has to listen to me ramble about, okay, so guys, like that site that I have, like like, holy shit, this is now older than this, and this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really funny because even Wild Wild Weiss, at the end of this year, the blog will be 3, right? And this
Mm.
is actually the first year of this podcast. And it's really easy to get nostalgic about that sort of thing, eh?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's like this precious project, and I don't want to let it go, and I'm not gonna let it go. So this is mine. I'm gonna keep making content for as long as there's content to make, and I think there's always gonna be content to make.
Mm. I guess a quick question before we move on to more about the article. Which do you think's going to live longer, you or Weiss?
Huh. Oh, tough question. Tough question. But like probably Vice, because I'm a really clumsy person. So like my days are probably already numbered. I'm just gonna stumble into my early death on a staircase or something.
We'd prefer you alive.
Yeah, me as well. Me as well. I'm trying, but I keep bumping into things. Life is dangerous. Life is dangerous if you're not paying attention, and I'm usually not.
Have you considered a row house or a single detached to reduce your stair risk?
I mean, I moved from like the fourth floor. Now I'm in a first floor apartment. So there's something.
Okay, falling risk mitigated. We're good. We're good.
Yeah, yeah. Mitigated, but reduced by like 75%.
Fallen. How long was the idea of the skill triangle, that trifecta of content creation, marketing skills, and Weiss skills, been rattling around in your head for?
Like the idea in general, like the fact that there are like for every single given thing, there are certain factors to the success, and you don't need all of them, but you need some of them.
Mhm.
Like this is a concept that I've been kind of living by for a long while. It was kind of like to counteract a lot of perfectionism I met in my everyday life from people who had this approach that you need everything. You need everything 100% or it's never going to work out.
Yeah.
Because reality isn't like that. You can't strive to have everything. You need to look at what factors are there, what's important, what do you have, and what you can do with that, what you already have before you start trying to achieve 100% on everything. But specifically for Vice, I only kind of began going around, with this idea in this context 2 years ago, something like that. But I didn't actually extract what I think the exact factors are until it came to like making this post.
Okay, so it was like kind of a nebulous thing, and then it's like you sat down and you took this idea that you kind of had floating around and just concretized it.
Yeah, kind of like that. That was roughly the process.
Gotcha, gotcha. And given the way that you kind of wrote it out, it seemed like it's this idea that you had kind of concrete for a while, just because this very well put together and well structured, well argued piece. Like, frankly, kudos to you. And I guess one of the things is you did mention a bit of trouble with perfectionism here, and you kind of go over in the blog how you just kind of managed to push on through. You mentioned here that with kind of the blog and the spoilers, it's a thing you did. Kind of how do you push through that if like your natural tendency is to be like, no, this has to be ready to go before I push it, to be like, you know what, the time is now, I got to do it.
Like I think it's about knowing what level it should be at. Because I don't see myself as a perfectionist. Perfectionism is actually something I really don't like, but I see myself as someone who likes things being done appropriately, being done well. And I
Mm,
kind of work around this by, because perfectionism is really simple. That bar is at 100%, and then you can just lose yourself trying to reach that because it's
yeah,
never going to be 100%. What I like to do is I set like a reasonable bar of expectation, which is below 100%.
right.
Necessarily, not necessarily a lot, but like at some point, like I know what I can expect of myself, what kind of quality I can produce. I know how that's going to look like if I do it just myself, if I get help, if I do it in a month, if I do it in a week, if I do it in 3 months, and I try to find a balance between all of that to where, it's speaking of economy, like it's one of those like production curves, after a certain point, more resources that does not create more output.
Yeah, you get
So
your diminishing returns to scale, right?
yeah. Like once I get to like roughly that point, that's where it's like, okay, we're going. Boom, out.
Love to hear it. And it's really funny because this reminds me of my interview with UA about 4 months ago now. If you haven't had a chance to go listen to it, it's on Patty Wagon's list of things you should listen to. It's a good list. Listen to it. And one of the things that UA said was just he sets himself a target to get something out every day, every other day. So that's kind of how he keeps himself disciplined. And it sounds like you've got an idea like that, but it's very not so much it's time based. It's I'm gonna get this to where I think it's good enough to go. Is that fair?
Yeah. Like you and I have, we have like a similar goal, but very different approaches, which is like why I quite enjoyed being invited to like work with him on the review show.
Yeah, and honestly, and that's one of the things I really appreciate about the current state of Weiss Schwarz commentary media. I'm actually going to be very honest here. I hate the word content. Absolutely abhor it. It really takes the skill and the art. I know I'm blowing smoke up my own ass here, calling this art, but it really commodifies everything, right? So there's all these different philosophies to writing about this game, all these different approaches to the game, all the different ways to think about it, and it just kind of smushes it down into one word, you know? And I think it does us a
Yeah,
disservice.
I think possibly. I don't think that's ever a thing I really thought about because I don't tend to think about words in English to that degree. I just take them and I run with them, second language and all that stuff.
Right. And yeah, I do the same stuff with French, right? But yeah, like English, like I have a master's degree in economics. I do write research for a living. So it's like you get into these areas where you think about stuff and it's like, well, what are we do? Why are we doing this? What are the incentives to do these things? And one thing I really appreciate about the Weiss community and the work that you guys, like you, UA, actually everyone who writes or does video in Weiss, everyone just sets this community that allows all this really different type of content. And even if feedback is a bit sparse at times, you know that you'll hear from other people just through the grapevine. Oh, I saw this video that said this. It's like, oh, I wrote that, and that's really cool.
Yeah, like that's probably one of my favorite parts about the whole thing is when you get like the slight random bits of feedback. Oh, someone found this useful. Like someone liked this. Someone like needed to like read this to like help with their voice journey. Like that's I think what like matters the most.
Throughout your journey writing Weiss Tea Time, how often do you get kind of that sort of feedback that's just, hey, I really liked what you did. It helped me a lot. And what was your favorite piece?
Um, how often I get feedback is like it's a tricky question because are you asking how often I receive feedback or how often I find feedback?
Well, I think it's like in this one, we're kind of talking about that very earnest, positive, like, hey, I read this and it mattered. It meant a lot to me. Like, have you gotten something like that and like
Oh
a piece of
yeah,
feedback that stuck with you?
yeah. I got that. I got that. I think most of it was like from the exact same piece. That's like also my favorite, which was the look and logic of Vice, which I think is like 2 years old by now. I'm not quite sure. Time is a fickle variable anyway. So but like that piece is like it has like I think an interesting story because I think I wrote it right after we got back from one of the regionals. It was actually like a request I got for just like a general post about the role of luck in voice because I think that because I think this was like one of those eras where there was a lot of discussion about, oh yeah, this is all luck based, or no, this is like skill actually matters. I wanted to like talk about this, but then when I got a request for it, I thought, okay, now I have to do it, and this is now. So like that was the motivation. But then I like kind of struggled. Like that post went through like so many. It was something else entirely. It was first a lot more numbers based. But then I realized I'm not actually that confident in my ability with numbers. And even if I'm not that confident in my ability to tell other people about numbers, which was the whole point of that
Yeah.
post. So I was like, okay, scrap the whole thing, delete all the spreadsheets, goodbye. We're doing this a different way. And so I went into it And I just, as I was writing it, I again remembered a bunch of different things from like other aspects, like that whole chess comparison. Yeah, like I ended up making something that like I was really proud of, and I released it into the wild, and the feedback was just overwhelming. And I also managed to like not severely upset anyone with a starkly different opinion, which I also think is a bit of an achievement. Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get any like very sour comments about how dare I imply there's a skill to this game, yada yada yada. You know.
You didn't start like a Wild Wild Weiss tier shit show, is what you're saying.
No, I did not. I did not. I generally try to like not get into that, not because I don't want it or can't handle it, but just because my point is to like have my content like do something good for the people, to like
Yeah.
have it be meaningful, to have to where if it has to spark a discussion, I hate discussions, but if it has to, then like at least let's like both sides take something away from that. So I try to be diplomatic because I want people to use my content. I don't want people to argue about my content.
No, that I actually really appreciate that. And I think The Luck and Logic of Weiss Schwarz, I think, is probably one of my favorite Weiss pieces from the last 3 years. Yeah, I think it was last 3 years. Yeah, you're right. Time is weird. Uh, kind of going on to that, like, have you ever written an article where you think it's just like, oh, this is going to be a fun thing, and then it's just you accidentally started an argument? Because I know I've done that a lot.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, I think I'm too anxious and like too careful for that because everything I put out is like triple checked by myself, and then is this appropriate in this context? Is this like gonna get the point across, or is this gonna start a flame war? But I guess there was for like the card captor Sakura post, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's not that I didn't expect it, because the whole reason that post exists is because there was already a significant amount of pushback in the community towards opinions like the one that I expressed in that post. But what I did not expect was just how damn seriously upset that would make some people. Like,
Mm,
there were a select few individuals, and I really mean like two or three maybe, that got really, really like particularly upset
yeah.
with that article in general. But I think like that wasn't a bad thing. Like that was like some of the most fun I've had in a while with just like watching the comments go by. Because there was this one person who really disliked. I don't remember what it was that they disliked, but they just really disliked the whole philosophy that I went into it. And I was just trying to, okay, this is just my perspective. They did not like that. And in the end, it resorted to them telling me that this was like in the Facebook comment section. So for extra spice,
Oh, baby.
they ended up telling me that it doesn't matter because people with anime profile pics don't have valid opinions, which is
Wait,
like
wait, 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 wait. We have a guy participating in a group about an anime card game talking smack about people with anime profile pictures.
I have zero idea. Like I don't know. I don't know that person. I've never seen them before. I don't zero recollection of their name. Like they're not clearly not a reflection of the Vice community.
Of
But
course
yeah,
not.
that is what it got down to. And like personally, again, difference of opinion. I would say that people who resort to ad hominem attacks are the people whose opinions don't matter.
Oh, of
Difference of
course.
opinion. But what was funny about that is that like it was not an anime profile pic. It was a drawing that my friend made of me. So I just screenshotted that and I sent that to my friend and I was like, dude, drop art school, start making anime. Clearly, this is a sign.
Get your Patreon
Like,
up ASAP.
yeah, immediately. Like, I mean, no, like that was just fun, honestly, because like when someone tries to take a shot at you and they miss by like 3 football fields, like what else are you gonna do? Just laugh.
Exactly, because it's like that's kind of the funny thing about this kind of obsession with dunking on social media is that if you and do you watch basketball at all?
I have a vague idea about it. It's kind of hard to be Slovenian and not be blasted by basketball on every corner.
Right. So like when a guy's like going up for the slam dunk and it looks really cool.
Mm.
Do you know how bad that looks when you miss?
Oh, whoa. Oh, fuck. I can imagine.
Yeah, because like I forget what game I was watching. I think it was an old Raptors game where a guy went up for the dunk. Like he smashes the ball off the rim, dropped it. One of the guards picks it up and then just runs it in for a dunk on the other end. And that's what you look like when you miss your social media dunk people.
Don't do that. Like, don't do that. Like, if you have something to disagree with, like, by all means, but like, in general, don't go for personal attacks against people you don't actually know.
Or just don't. Just don't.
Yeah, probably. But playing devil's advocate here, if you wanted to, like, if you needed to, like, make sure you know who you're using that against, because it's not really a personal attack against a person you don't know. It's just like an imagination of what might work. At which point, like, no.
No. Kind of riffing off this question, out of the places that you kind of put your content on, like Discord, I know you said Reddit was one of your favorite ways of doing this, on Facebook, on Twitter. Which place do you find is kind of as the best discussion and the most civil discussion? And where do you get just kind of weird stuff?
I think Reddit and Facebook both have their weird moments. Just because of like the mass of people that's there, just statistically there's gonna be something weird going on. On Discord, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people as well, but it seems to be the kind of environment where like the people talking, maybe it's because it's like a more personal kind of thing. It's not like comment. It doesn't have this feeling of commenting on something, but it's more like an active discussion type of chat. So maybe that's why people are like more less strange with their takes here, or maybe I just haven't seen it yet in regards to my content.
Yeah, because I find that I get my spiciest reactions to things. It seems to be Discord. Although, like, I've gotten people's backs up on Facebook too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think like the biggest arguments seem to happen on Discord. Although, yeah, I think the last one that happened was, and this is a hilarious story. I did our interview with Phil, right? With Phil and Ken
Yeah, I know.
near the end of the interview, and I actually didn't really see this coming. Phil just starts talking about close to not safe for work, or just fully not safe for work, card paraphernalia and cards.
Mhm.
I didn't see that coming, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Let's let it go because, well, it's like I'm no stranger to drama. I used to do drama in middle school, and I'm a cosplayer, so of course. So I just left that in there. So then I edited it up, and Kevin's like, "Yo, do you want to post this to Competitive Games Discord? I think a lot of people would like to listen to it." I'm like, "Okay." I just placed it there, and then within half an hour of posting this interview, and for people who haven't had a chance to listen to the Phil interview, this is a 2.5 hour long interview. And this part comes in at about the 2 hour mark. And it goes for about 10, 15 minutes. And then we wrap up the podcast. So it's literally one of the last things we end on. Within 30 minutes of posting this, someone has excerpt Phil's whole point about lewd sleeves, lewd cards, that sort of thing, and posted it in the competitive Discord chat.
Wait, I saw that. Like, I mean, I don't know if it was that exactly, but I think I saw that discussion like vaguely scrolling on my phone as I was like driving on a bus somewhere. I didn't know it was in response to that though, but like, yeah, now that I put two and two together, it makes sense.
What's really funny is it's just like, I don't know how someone was able to just like pinpoint where. Maybe they were just like kind of scrobbing through to just figure out what points there, where the interesting stuff started. I don't know. That they got to this very particular point, unless maybe Phil just told them that he went on that rant.
Maybe, or they have supreme listening skills and they just played the whole thing at like 5 times the speed.
Oh, gee, that would actually be impressive. Yeah. But yeah, then this whole shitstorm starts. And then there was the other one I remember I started was, I'm not sure if you saw this post. Did you see the one where I used some rinky-dink statistics to test whether the sets that were released in early Weiss were different than the ones released in late modern Weiss?
Yeah, I did. I remember that one.
And then I just said, yeah, it's Idle Schwarz. And I think like I got some pretty good Facebook arguments going, but the Discord ones were the worst. And that's like, I straight up did not expect that.
Interesting, interesting.
How can you get mad at just chi-squared distributions?
I mean, I've gone through like a year of statistics. You can get mad at them. I mean, not like at the results, just like for existing in principle.
They're so nice. They let you work with variances.
I mean, yeah, but like statistics as a whole is like a pain. Like it's a pleasant kind of pain, but it's like it's pain still.
I mean, you're talking to an economist, but I guess this is the interesting thing is you were saying with Luck and Logic by Schwartz, you had these spreadsheets where you're trying to communicate numbers. But it's funny that you're now like statistics are pain because it's like, did that kind of motivate your you thinking that yeah, I'm not sure that I'm communicating this properly, sort of thing?
Like not necessarily. Like I mean, when I say statistics is pain, is like I kind of half joke about it because like it's not something I like. It's something that like I'm supposedly kind of good at least at like the things we did in university. But like it's the kind of thing where like I'm very prone to like not seeing the big picture and like focusing on like the random things. Like it will always be the kind of classes where like I would get my reports and like my seminar papers back and it would be like, yeah, this is like correct and everything, but like you made this one mistake here, which is like, how did you even get here? And I'm like, well, looking at it now, it makes sense. Before, no, I did not see it. So from that
Right.
perspective, it's pain because it requires me to do the kind of thinking and like to take the kind of approaches I usually wouldn't do. And that was kind of what motivated me to maybe try and put numbers into that whole, is skill necessary in Weiss argument. But in the end, I just like I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't reliably do it, especially because that was at the point where I didn't have as good of an understanding of like the basics of statistics as I do now. I mean, it isn't a big change in skill level, but that was like the very beginning of it, and I did not feel comfortable using that.
Right. I'm a stats guy, but I think that article was made much stronger by the omission of numbers.
Yeah, yeah, like because I was thinking also just in general because I think presenting numbers to someone who isn't well versed with numbers, even if you don't mean anything bad, even if you just have the purest, most sensible, rational of intentions, it's still like bringing a strange object to to a knife fight. It's gonna make people wary. It's gonna make people concerned that you have something over them, and if they themselves don't have an intrinsic understanding of what it is you're walking into the room with, you're gonna be seen as like an opponent from like the get go. It's and because specifically this post wasn't meant, for the people who already believe that there is skill in Vice. It wasn't like meant for like them to just sit in a circle and go, "Oh yeah, yeah, we're right," and this proves it.
Mhm.
Like, it was meant for like people who maybe don't see it, because that's the whole point why I go into that whole comparison to chess and how a good player is always lucky. The point of that wasn't to like prove someone wrong to like prove someone right or anything like that. The whole point of that post in the end was that I believe that if you defer to luck on everything, then you take away your ability to influence things. And if you take away your ability to influence things, then you take away your ability to become a better player at all of these things. And so the point was kind of like, look, if you away the luck glasses, there is so much that you can do that you should be doing if you want to get better at this game. I wanted
Yeah.
to give people the chance to be better at this game that they maybe would miss if they keep relying on luck so much.
Mhm. I really loved that. And it's really interesting because I think your omission in the numbers, it takes away a space for someone to quibble, which I think is brilliant. Like it was a brilliant choice you made because then they have to fight you on the argument.
Yeah, then like that was probably like another thing because if I did numbers, like I would have fucked up somewhere, I wouldn't have caught it, and then I would have had like three people missing the entire point. Just like that calculation does not come up to that. Like that is not the correct probability there, and it's like yeah, okay, but that's not the point.
Exactly. And that's going to happen even if you made the right calculations. I love that it's you know what? No math. This is a
Yeah,
philosophical piece, and it worked so well.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I am a word person who just like happens to be able to work with numbers. So words were a good choice. I agree.
Yeah. Let's move on to one of your more new ventures, working with Strictly Broken TCG and the best ever review show for Weiss. How'd this come about?
Like if you wanted the whole thought background behind it, you'd have to ask UA. But
Oh, I already did. Your
yeah,
involvement.
because so that's his part. My part began like I woke up at the end of February to a Facebook message, which is rare because I try to get most of my communication off Facebook because I hate the damn thing. But I had a Facebook message from UA, and I was like, huh, what's that? And he's just like, hey, I have this idea. Can we like talk about it? And I was like, well, this I think this was in the morning for me, so like late evening for you guys, Canadians in general. Wait,
Yeah.
not even Canadians, because Canada has like you guys have a big country there. Like you have so many time zones. Just like yeah, and I have zero idea where.
Oh, some of ours are weird too. We might be getting rid of daylight savings time in Calgary.
Oh, please, I wish for that. Yeah. Well, anyway, basically I just he told me when he's gonna have time. I told him when I'm gonna have time in the afternoon. I was like, okay, just hit me up on Discord and we're gonna go over whatever you want. And I had like no idea. I have like zero idea. I'm also the kind of person who's like not really good at looking into things. I take things at face value. So I had no idea. I was like, huh, what could that possibly be? Like I didn't connect the dots because my brain just generally does not connect the dots. It takes things as are given to it. So
Hmm.
then we start talking, and he's like, okay, so I have this idea, basically this format, but like we would need this out on release, like before release. We would need this out within as little as 24 hours before after we get the full set reveals. And that is only possible if someone can like translate everything and then put it into the slides. And he's like, so we already have all the translations now. Can you do the slides? And I was like, yeah, sure, yeah. And in my mind, that already started. Okay. I guess maybe we're like gonna be starting with the next set. All the plans, all the time, and everything. And then he's like, okay, so yeah, if you're up for it, we were thinking of doing it for like Sword Art this week. Which was just it's like it's not a bad thing because like you were really he gets an idea and he goes for it, and I appreciate that massively because that's something I'm not able to do. Like I can't go that fast on something that I'm planning. But if I'm working with or for someone else, is this okay? You say go, we go. So
Hmm.
it gave me that opportunity to like work in a setting in a way that I usually wouldn't. So I really enjoy that. But it was kind of a scramble because like if I remember correct, this was like the night before, or like just in a span of hours before the actual show. Not quite
Yeah.
sure. Maybe it was a day, but anyway, it was just a really short amount of time to actually make the slides, and then to like also figure out how to make the slides in the first place. Because again, I want things done well. So I knew the format we had. I was immediately thinking, how can we improve this? Okay, it has to look more appealing. It has to like be sorted this way, that way, this. Oh shit, some cards refer to other cards. How do I do this? How do I do that? And like you'll see if you go back, like not the first slides are not as good as the next one, and so on. And I think now,
Yeah.
for the past maybe 10 or so, we kind of have a system that works. I mean, we haven't had any complaints. So, if there's something specifically people don't like about it, they should like tell me so that I can fix it. But other than that, yeah, it's that. And it's also something that like people have asked, oh, is there a script that does this? Um,
Nope.
because I think, I mean, yeah, exactly, the exact answers. Because I guess again, you could make it, and I think probably I could automate like some parts of it, like pulling in images. But even still, the damn inconsistency of Weiss, because it's never like, because we don't, sometimes we don't pull this, sometimes we don't use that, we don't use the climaxes, we don't show the vanillas, sometimes it's in a different order. It's the kind of thing where even if you automate it, then you'd have to go through it to just check and then manually fix every single exemption case for like that specific set, at which point might as well do it by hand. But I did auto hotkey some of the shortcuts for the slides as well. So, halfway there.
Was making the slides aided a bit by just having the spreadsheets on hand?
Yeah. It's also that was the part where I was really thinking like, okay, I could pull text into that. Like I really was thinking about scripting that, but then it turns out it's not a 1-1 translation between the spoiler sheets and the slides, because sometimes you take stuff out, sometimes there's like additional information in that text that doesn't need to be on the slide because on the slide it's visual, and so on. Again, I don't think anyone would complain if like it were the exact same, but I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if we're showing the card number and the card and the text on the bottom corner, we don't need the card number referred to in the text as well. So, I take all of those out, or at least I try to.
No, that makes sense. Given that Madoka Magica got you into this, Magia Record got you on the road to hosting the translations, would reviewing the latest Magia Record set have been suffering if you did it live?
No, I don't think if we did it live, I don't think it would have been suffering, because at the end of the day, it's about valuable content, it's about entertainment. So what I think we should do, if we went back in time and if this started before the Magia record set came out, what we'd do is we'd get Ryan, we'd get Christian on like zero sleep, because this show is at like 3 a.m. in our Central European time, and we'd get them both on the show. Those two can like make anything about Madoka interesting. We could have 4-hour review shows of like vanillas in Madoka. It would work. It would be good content. So it wouldn't be suffering for everyone else, just maybe for the people reviewing it, because it would be a constant reminder of, we can color fix with Rikis now. I guess that's a thing.
Is it a good thing? Maybe.
I mean, at some point, I think we have this like collective denial to where we start seeing it as a positive and not a demerit. Like we just lower the bar to where that's a perk and not a problem.
It also depends on the set too. Like if you're trying to rush to level 1, then yeah, it's a perk. If you're not, then yeah, it's demerit.
Yeah, but I mean, I think in the end, Madoka did benefit from having like all these options in different colors. Because it's not just the Riki, it's the free fresh, it's the anti-change counter, it's other stuff as well. I think like it did benefit because there's a lot of good stuff across the board in Madoka for all colors now. So that kind of helps it out, but it's like it's not the improvement we were looking for. Like it's appreciated, but still, better level 1 combos would be nice.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get something good with the movie set if it comes. With how long you've been playing Weiss, you've watched the game change quite a bit. Have you appreciated the direction the game has evolved?
Like, if I think of it in general, people are still playing, and like it's still fun to play for me, right? So, I guess overall, yes. But like, if I try to be specific about it, it's kind of hard because I don't tend to have like opinions on things. In general, I just prefer like watching and adapting to how things go. And I think it's easier to form opinions if you have like a specific either mindset or like just a specific position that you like being in, and you can observe everything from that position. Whereas my approach is more to just like, oh, this is happening now, so how can I work within that? For most things, Weiss included. So all I can say is that like it kept evolving in a way that enabled me to like still be part of the community, that enabled a lot of other people to all join the community from zero. So I think it's been a good, like all the international English issues aside, I think it's been okay.
It's good to hear. For a player just starting Weiss Schwarz in 2021, what sort of advice do you have?
Just best advice in general. Just join as many groups as possible. Ask and you can find. Ask stuff all the time, because I mean, obviously, just read the resources that are there, but like, just talk to people, ask questions, because I mean, that's how that's how I learned everything there is to know about Weiss. When it was a lot harder to do, because all these groups weren't as big or as popular or as accessible 5 years ago as they are now. And I mean, I know it can be like scary for a new player asking everything all the same time, because in the back of your mind, you're asking something that's going to be seen as like completely utterly stupid from
Hmm.
from the point from the point of a more experienced player. But like, we don't care. Just like keep asking. And like, I like that there's like always a designated space for that now. Like in the Vice Discord, there's this a special channel for helps and rulings. And if that existed 5 years ago, I would never leave that chat. Like,
Yeah.
I was like my Reddit history from 5 years ago was basically just that channel condensed, and there were like so many things. Like, I think for the most part, it was like Rando replying to everything. Like every single complex, I say complex, basically every single rule interaction that was like a bit more than like a beginner level, he explained to me in like great detail. And like, I really appreciated having that. So that is also like kind of what I'm now trying to like pay forward with like the rule breakdowns that I do, that I should make another one soon, because the number of times people are asking about anchor and anchor step and anchor abilities lately is through the roof. So I think we need a post on that.
Oh yeah, because the floor rules on that are so bizarre, eh?
I mean, the rules on a lot of things in Vice are just bizarrely worded.
Oh, like I remember, like we were talking about this at the beginning of the year, and we looked at the rules, and it was like we realized it was like, oh, the turn player does all of their encores before the off turn player gets to do one.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's so weird. It's like I get why they do it because there's certain effects that need that structure to work, but it's just when you first look at it, it's like, huh, that's weird.
Yeah, yeah. And then having to separate anchor the ability from anchor the phase or step or whatever it is. Yeah, it's just it's the kind of thing that keeps getting asked, but that doesn't make it stupid. That just means that like the game has this like fundamental steps you have to go through, and that's like one of them.
Hmm. I know we spent a good time talking about the blog, your latest article, writing good Weiss content, but what would you say is the single biggest takeaway for someone who is sitting on the sidelines, wants to make Weiss content, and just hasn't started?
Aside from go talk to people, I guess it's just keep throwing stuff out until something sticks. And it doesn't have to necessarily stick to the audience. I think it's more important that it sticks to yourself, because you have to find the content that's going to be rewarding for you. You have to find the kind or the type or the version of content that you're gonna be able to sleep with, even if it's completely bombs, even if it's just you reading this, even if it's just you finding that useful. It's the kind of thing where you like find the content that matters to you, because it's gonna matter to someone else as well. Whereas if you just try to find content that matters to someone else on a shit day, you're gonna have a really hard time trying to keep that up if it doesn't matter to you as well.
Yeah. And finally, do you see any gaps in Weiss content right now that someone could just jump right into?
I don't know if there are gaps. I think there's like people are already feeling all of the different things I can think of right now. But like, for example, more content for beginners, that's always like a good thing. Then it's like, we have a bunch of databases of stuff on like, jargon and effects. And I know Kevin has that in some gorgeous spreadsheets. Maybe I should go poke him to like embed those spreadsheets on a website or something like that, because obviously no one's gatekeeping this content, except the content kind of gatekeeps itself in its current form,
Yeah.
because you can't Google search something that's in a spreadsheet.
Or an image, yeah.
Yeah, as of now. So I think we have like a lot of community content, but it really is in a form of community content where it's just like indigenous to this kind of group, in like the shape that just works well or was made up and maintained. It's a legacy system of maintaining knowledge and useful stuff, and it works. but it might not be as accessible to like newer players. So I think transforming those things into like more accessible forms of content, more easily findable, digestible forms of content is like one thing. And just like in general, like highlighting these old relics of Weiss is like something that's already now being done. For example, like the competitive, no, what's it called now? Just like the Weiss Discord, like
I don't
whatever, like
know.
the thing with the meme icon, like right now it's Kurume.
Oh, Weiss Schwarz TCG. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
realized it's the meme icon. Oh,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
one with Kurumi with the sunglasses.
Yeah, yeah. Like I should know that. I'm a mod in that server. Like I should know what it's called. Like pardon my transgressions. I have zero idea. um, but like yeah, it has a channel specifically for like guides and resources now, and that's good because like if there are these old golden pieces of Vice content, they should not waste away with time, because
Yeah.
something might be on a website that hasn't been updated in 10 years and it might be relevant. Something might be from a person who hasn't written in 5 years and it still might be relevant. Because I remember, like nowadays, I think it's easier to find that content or at least find people who tell you where that content is. I remember when I started, and I would like get these bits and pieces of like, oh, this blog post, oh, this video. I just hoard that information like a little dragon with a
Mm.
hoard of gold coins, just holding on to that, making sure it's like double bookmark and everything. Like legit, I was more careful with the link to the Vice reading list than I was with like the the initial spoiler sheet archive. Like that tells you something.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of just doing your own reading list on top of what Paddy Wagon's already doing? I really do appreciate his reading list, and that's not just because he likes my work. It's just really important to have just someone willing to go through all this stuff and pick out, hey, this is cool, this is timely, this is timeless and interesting. And have you ever just and one of the things about it is we all have our different tastes of what we think is interesting and what we don't think is interesting. I'm very lucky that I think a lot of the stuff that I like to read is very similar to what Paddy Wagon kind of puts up. But have you ever considered just doing your own? And honestly, I've kind of thought about it as well, but I just don't read enough.
I don't think I could personally do it again because I think that's kind of a kind of thing that requires you to have like a point to stand on from which you evaluate different things, from which you like place things and like just that. Whereas when I consume content, I always try to like adapt to it as much as possible, like what I can take out of this. So what you would end up with is just a list of every single content I can think of that isn't literally just like sharing directly incorrect information, and it would just be there, repetitive and useless to like
Mhm.
everyone. So like I appreciate that Patty has a list of like everything because it's really a bunch of useful stuff in like sorted in a manner that like I think even a beginner can go through. And it's great because it's like it goes back a long time. Like it's not updated all the time, but like I don't think it has to be.
No, it doesn't.
It's a really much needed archive. And it's also like for me, it's like a pat on the back in a way because
Yeah.
I was searching for something on there the other day, and it just hit me. Like I looked up and said, you know what? I used to like look at this all the time, and now I'm on there, and it still doesn't quite click. What all happened in between those two things?
Yeah, and it's just like, where did this like it's kind of that funny thing where it's just like, you know what? Now I'm here sort of feeling. And it was funny just to see like so he updated it very recently and how to write good Weiss content article basically
Oh,
got its own new
oh.
section. Like that's got to feel
They
good, right?
did like that section wasn't there before.
No,
Oh,
that was new.
um, okay. Well, but wait, but I'm not the only one in that section, right? Or did I just like completely?
So basically what happened is he took your guide as like read this and then had like here's examples of really good content and it had my UA interview, some really good deck techs, set reviews and that sort of thing as just an
Yeah,
example
I know,
of
I know, because I saw it, but like I thought that was there before. I just
no.
thought that like my oh, I did, wow, I didn't know that. Thanks. I guess like that's like the circle of content. Like I give back. Because like if the reading list were there in the first place, I maybe wouldn't have the same journey that I have, So
That's cool, honestly, yeah. And it's kind of one of those funny things is and the more I think about it, and it's like, I think you're definitely probably more up to date with how, search engine optimization works than I am, and I think one of the things that I know is just the more websites kinda link to each other, the better off they do in at least Google's algorithm. I'm not sure about, Bing or Yahoo.
I don't think anyone is.
Yeah. Does anyone even use them? Well, okay, I use Bing sometimes, let's be real. And it's really cool because we're linking to each other, and when we recognize that each other does good work, we're giving each other this boost too because it's all of a sudden it's like, "Hey, this is part of that network."
Yeah, I mean, at the end of like it's a community integration thing. It's like it gets like a place by being connected to like other pieces of content in the community, because I mean, you would really have to write a lot and some really long things from a lot of different areas before you could have like a standalone Weiss resource. And I don't think that's sustainable, because at that point you still have only one person's or like one group's view on some of the things that are really, really subjective or like benefit from having multiple perspectives. So
Yeah. And it's kinda one of those funny things where it's like, I've been thinking of just dedicating more time and maybe just making my own reading list just to kinda help be another one of those places that links out because I've benefited a lot from and by me, I mean the Calgary Weiss Schwarz community in general has benefited a lot from, work by myself, by Slowbro, by Kira getting picked up by these reading lists because all of a sudden it's just this constant signpost back to the work that you put a little bit of your heart in, right?
yeah, now that you mention this, like you remind me of a segment that was supposed to be in the anniversary post, but was actually left out. Because what I also wanted to do is like make like the kind of a recount of how it was with content, what kind of content I consumed when I started playing voice as a beginner, how that looked for me. But I kind of scrapped that because I realized it was just basically two things. Like it was me recounting the reading list, and it was me like praising Randall's Reddit comments.
Right.
So that wouldn't be interesting content. But I guess it does say like at least how much this has evolved, because like this is pretty limited still. Just Reddit comments and a reading list, and now we have so much more that was essentially built on top of that and other things. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and I remember when I started way back in the day, it was Ninth CX, and that's about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like I love how this community's evolved, and it's even over the pandemic, it's gotten stronger, and there's just so many weird and wonderful types of content, and there's an audience for all of it. So I think, yeah, you're right. It's just if you want to do it, get on it.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I mean, there's always going to be space for more content. It's not like we're exactly fighting over a limited resource. Just come say hi, post something. You can still disappear if it's not your thing.
Exactly. And you know what? I think that's it for all the big burning questions I and the Calgary Weiss Schwarz community have for you. Before we go, though, I'd like to see if you'd be down for a game of Rapid Fire. For those who don't listen to old hockey shows, Rapid Fire is a segment that Jane Aldenwright and Dan O'Toole did on their Fox Sports show before Jane, called Jay and Dan. They would ask a series of lighter or sillier questions in quick succession, most of them yes or no. When they went back to Canada's sports network TSN, they left the segment behind. My buddy decided to take it from them, and I'm stealing it from him. Are you down?
Okay, sure, shoot.
All right. Better meta, English or Japanese?
Japanese, purely because it has more variety, so more chance for jank decks.
Wonderful. Best place for food after weeklies in your neck of the woods in Slovenia?
Whatever the nearest kebab place is.
Shawarma, love it. Best thing to do in Slovenia that isn't a tourist trap?
Huh. It's kind of hard to like judge what's a tourist trap in a country that's like this small. So like you don't really get swarms of people anywhere. But I guess I'd say Bled Island, because it's
Oh,
really this famous thing. You may have seen it because this picture is everywhere. It's like a church in a really picaresque island on a lake. This is
right.
like
Yeah.
used everywhere. Like if you have an image in your mind, it's probably that, because this is used everywhere. And yeah, it's really strange because it's a small country, and then when you see something from it just floating out in the wild, it's like, huh. That's a nice place, actually. So, like, yeah.
And it's just something you can say, this is Slovenia.
Yeah, yeah.
Would a movie 4 set save Madoka or us Mado Chads doomed?
Clearly, obviously, it's my job and my duty to manifest zero reprints, the most overpowered combos across the board, meta breaking set. As soon as like the first preview drops, everything is just like elevated, tier S plus 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 just for Madoka. And then the set also breaks Banley's history by getting like let me ballpark a number, 8 cards banned or restricted in the same go. This is like my prediction.
For record breaking, it's not day 0 ban like our boy Action Common.
Nah, not that bad, not that bad. It's like record breaking in the amount, like I'm talking like the fate restrictions, but more.
Right.
Because you have to be realistic with your predictions, just like, as with your wishes. Like you can wish for a time for Madoka to flourish if you then also account for a time for Madoka players to suffer again, because we cannot flourish forever.
Law of the cycle. If there is a review show for Madoka movie set 4 and Kevin chooses someone that's not you to review the set, who will you fight? Kevin or the person reviewing?
I think I fight Kevin. I think I fight Kevin because like if he's choosing just one person, why isn't he doing the Ryan Christian combo? Like you have to do that. It's Madoka. Like that they're just missing out on content. And yes, I am absolutely shilling. Like that is gonna happen if I have anything to do with it. And if we get
Beauty.
another set.
Beauty. What tea is the best for a Weiss Tea Time?
Strawberry, vanilla, and lots and lots of honey.
Oh, that does sound wonderful. Does Kevin deserve the flaming he gets?
No, not at all. Like he already gets like days when like Bushiroad's just like, okay, 30 cards here, off you go. Like he's going through enough. Just like let the poor man be.
And honestly, the work he does is fantastic because on top of that, he's also bringing awareness to what's actually being done in Japan to North America. So hopefully we'll learn to be better players.
Yeah, we can dream.
And that about wraps us up for today. Thank you again, Teya, and congrats on 5 years of Weiss vlogging.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
I think we've recorded something awesome. If you like what you heard in this interview, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Search Wild Wild Weiss. You'll find our previous interviews with the Anime Evo champion and SBTCG member Kailua, owner of SBTCG and former world champion Yu Wei Peng, Ken Takahata, and Philip McKay, along with a bunch of other thoughtful Weiss discussion from the Calgary Weiss Schwarz community. If you want to check out our written work, head on over to wildwildweiss.wordpress.com. Watch our video content on YouTube, search Wild Wild Weiss. Check us every Friday for some live action on twitch.tv/wildwildweiss. Follow us on Twitter at Wild Wild Weiss, or check out the Calgary Weiss Schwarz community on Facebook or Discord. And I know we've been talking about your plugs for about an hour and a half now. Where can the great people find you?
I mean, I have the Weiss Tea Time website on WordPress, so that's it. It has like all my socials linked. So like come say hi on Twitter, come chat on Discord. Please leave Facebook alone. I'm just hoping it dies one day, a painful death, so I never have to see it again. But like other than that, yeah, like I'm mostly like on Twitter.
Okay. Alrighty. So until next time, this has been Tim Gency, and I hope to see y'all next time.